As the days get shorter, the nights get longer, temperatures start to drop, football is in the air, it's time to think about taking care of your lawn in the fall. How is that going to be different than the preceding summer and spring months? That's what we're going to talk about today. What are the 5 things we need to think about when we're taking care of the lawn in the fall? First of all, let's talk about mowing, fertility, and irrigation. We call these the fundamental practices, but also fall is ideal for a couple of other practices, including aerification and dethatching and fall weed control. Now let's break down each one of those individually. Let's start with mowing. Some of you may have the practice where you raise the mowing height in the summer and drop it in the fall and the spring. So what is the optimal time to drop that mowing height back down? Well, in reality, what we'd like you to do is to set it at the mowing height you desire for the entire season and forget it. Set it and forget it. But if you are practicing the option of dropping the mowing height in the fall, we'd like to see you drop that as soon as our nighttime temperatures drop to an appreciable level and our days get a little bit shorter. That'll maximize the potential for rhizome production and good growth of that grass going into the fall and overwintering. Irrigation. Should we be irrigating more or less in the fall? You want to do 2 things concerning irrigation. One is you want to back off how much you put down. A bluegrass lawn in Nebraska will take about 1 inch of water per week. So that either has to come from rainfall or irrigation, but if you've been watering for summer times, make sure you change your controller or change your mowing practices. The other thing is you're not going to have to water as frequently. Because of the shorter days, longer nights, and cooler temperatures, the turf doesn't need to be watered every other day, every third day, perhaps maybe even just once a week for bluegrass lawns or even fescue lawns if you're maintaining them at that next higher level. Finally, fertility. Fall is the optimal time for fertility. We usually recommend 2 applications, one starting around Labor Day weekend and another one after the grass has quit growing, generally about late October, early November. This is the 2 optimal times for fertility, and that'll really get your lawn ready to survive Nebraska's harsh winters. Then we have the supplemental practices like aerification and power raking. Really, these are 2 separate practices, but because of what they do, we'll kind of talk about them as one component right now. Dethatching is done when you've got a lawn that's got an excessive thatch layer, generally about 1/2 inch or more, to open up that turf so that air can move back and forth, the gases can move back and forth as well. It just makes the lawn that much healthier. Now, why is the fall one of the optimal times for this? Well, the turf can take that aggressive dethatching operation, which can be injurious during the summer months. Aerification is where we're moving a plug. Sometimes it's called a core or a plug. We do this to open up once again and make that turf able to breathe better. We don't want to give it human characteristics, but once again, that oxygen and CO2 has to transfer back and forth. So we're optimizing the capacity for the grass to do that. When you're aerifying, you might consider adding a soil amendment like compost or something just to increase the biological activity in that particular soil. So that's a good time as well. And then finally, fall is the optimal time to control those pesky broadleaf weeds like ground ivy, dandelion, creeping Charlie. All of the perennial weeds that are a problem in your lawn are best controlled in the fall of the year. That's because they're producing a lot of carbohydrates and stuff in their system. They're pushing those carbohydrates down into the root system so that when you apply the herbicide then moves down and you kill the entire plant. We often get the call, well, that herbicide didn't seem to work as effectively as you said it would. Well, often that's because of bad timing. Perennial broadleaf weeds are best controlled in the fall, that's why fall is the best time to put these herbicides on. So as you can see, fall offers you an opportune time to do several management practices. You may be doing these practices throughout the year, but fall offers you the advantage of good, actively growing turf. Fall aerification, dethatching, fall weed control, and even your mowing, irrigation, and fertility practices can make that lawn the healthiest it can be.